Hi, it's me, Joel, and I'd like to share another quick story with you. And this story will help you develop a deeper connection in the relationship that you have with your own kids. There are two ladies. There's Cherie on the East Coast, and then there's Rebecca on the West Coast. And these two gals have a show called The Imperfect Wives. And every now and then they invite me to come on their show as a guest and to help their listeners better understand how they can find their own voice. Now, Rebecca wanted what every mother wants for her family, and that is to develop the gifts of her children. But the problem that Rebecca kept bumping up into is it actually stemmed from a misunderstanding she had between God's wisdom and what she thought. Here's how it played out. Rob and Rebecca had 3 kids, and while Rebecca managed the home, the family, and the extracurricular activities, Rob was a minister. And as hard as those parents tried to not put extra pressure on their children, you know, sometimes when you're a pastor's kid, even if it doesn't come from your parents, every once in a while there are certain unspoken expectations. Expectations on their possibilities and expectations on their potential. And even Rebecca had her own concerns and her own fears, because as the story unfolded right there under her own roof, it was becoming very obvious that Jesse, her middle child, would not only not be following along in his dad's footsteps, but it seemed that his excitement and his thrill came from doing something that Rebecca had a very difficult time getting her head around. His joy came from writing about his favorite subject, which was science fiction and fantasy. Now here's a problem Rebecca thought she had. She thought that Jesse was mismanaging and misusing his time and spending that time in something that couldn't possibly be God-honoring or worthwhile. The problem that Rebecca actually had is that she had bought into the myth that for her son's gifts and activities to be labeled as worthy, they had to fit into her box of worthiness, and they had to be aligned with what she believed was worth it and what wasn't. Now, Rebecca and I had a few discussions, kind of behind the scenes and off the air, and over time, she started to realize that just because she didn't share or fully understand the gifts of her son, it didn't mean that they weren't alive, growing, and flourishing. Another discussion that Rebecca and I had a little bit later, she admitted this to me. She said that she was so thankful that she never said anything to Jesse about her original misunderstanding, because looking back, kind of in retrospect, she realized that, gosh, if she did, she would have been the one possibly responsible for putting a cap on her son's creativity and silencing the voice that God had given him to experience and share. Mom, Dad, please get this. Don't be the one responsible for limiting your child's creativity and their artistic expression. Give them the freedom to explore, to experiment, to expand. Even if you don't quite understand it, of course, use your wisdom, use your discretion, but let their little hearts take the lead. You know, every time I tell that story, it reminds me of a quote, and I just have to share it with you. And one of the reasons it's one of my favorites is because I have seen it come true so many times. The author says it this way. He says, God hides things by placing them all around us. And every time I hear that quote, it kind of piques my curiosity and gets me to wondering. You know, I wonder what God could be hiding right in front of you. Share them on our blog. Share it on our YouTube channel. And I look forward to hearing from you. Oh, by the way, for Rob and Rebecca, they have since decided to bless their son Jesse's creative energies. And the last report that I got, he had written more than 100 pages in his very first novel. Thanks for watching.